Success is something we all want, isn't it? But here's what we often overlook. Success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract by the person you become. You know, chasing success may lead to frustration and tiredness, since the more you follow it, the more it seems to slip away. But when you focus on becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts success, you no longer have to seek it, success finds you. So let me ask you something. What type of person are you becoming? That's where it all starts. You might be thinking, what does it mean to become someone who draws success? It begins with strengthening your character, honing your habits, and sharpening your attitude. Success, my friends, is drawn to certain qualities: discipline, perseverance, charity. It gravitates toward those who offer value to the world, people who are always learning. It's drawn to individuals who live consciously, people with ambitions, with a vision. So let's talk about goals. You can't attract success without clear goals. You need a destination. Too many people wander through life without direction and then wonder why success feels out of grasp. I'll tell you why success doesn't come to people who travel aimlessly. It comes to those who know what they want and are willing to pay the price to get it. Now, what is that price? Discipline, sacrifice. But it all starts with that first step, knowing what you want. If I asked you right now, what's your goal for the next 5 years? Could you answer me clearly, specifically, and with conviction? Because if you can't, I'll tell you this, you're not on the path to attracting success. You need clarity. Clarity leads to action, and action leads to results. When you know what you desire, the road becomes clearer. Now, don't get me wrong, the road won't always be simple. In truth, it rarely is. But you'll be moving in the correct direction, and that's what matters. Success comes to those who take continuous, deliberate action toward their goals, even when things get rough. And believe me, they will get hard. But here's the truth: bad times don't last. That's why becoming the kind of person that attracts success is so powerful. You've got to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The bigger your goals, the bigger the difficulties. But difficulties aren't meant to stop you. They're there to make you stronger. Years ago, I was broke. I was 25 years old with nothing in the bank, nothing in my pocket, and not much hope for the future. But then something happened that changed the path of my life forever. I met a mentor, Mr. Schoaf. Mr. Schoaf told me something that hit me like a ton of bricks. He said, "Billy, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want things to get better, you have to get better." That was the breakthrough I'd been waiting for. I had been expecting my circumstances would improve. Schoaf taught me was that it wasn't about my circumstances, it was about me. I was the problem, but I was also the solution. If I wanted to attract success, I had to become the kind of person that success would be drawn to. So I started working on myself. I began reading books, listening to seminars, finding mentors, doing everything it took to enhance my attitude, my talents, and my habits. And slowly but surely, things began to alter. Why? Because I was changing. And that's the key, my friends. Success is something you attract by the person you become. When I changed, the opportunities changed. When I changed, the people I met changed. When I changed, everything changed. But all started with me. Let's speak about habits. Because if you want to attract success, you've got to create the correct behaviors. Your habits shape your future. You can have the finest intentions in the world, but if your habits don't match your goals, you're going to struggle. Think about it. If you want to be physically active, but your habit is eating junk food and skipping the gym, are you going to get fit? Of course not. It's the same with success. You can't expect success if your habits don't support it. So ask yourself, what are your habits? Successful people have success habits. They read, they plan, they take action, they track their progress. They wake up early, they stay focused, and most of all, they are consistent. Consistency. It's not about accomplishing something fantastic once in a while. It's about doing the right things over and over again. Success isn't based on occasional effort. It's built on regular work. And I'll tell you right now, that's not simple. It's simple to feel excited for a day. Maybe a week is easy. But can you stay excited? Can you stay dedicated for months, even years? That's where the true magic happens. It's in the consistency. But there's more to it. It's not only about the appropriate habits, it's about the right mindset. Your mindset is like the dirt where everything else thrives. If your thinking is negative, full with doubt, fear, or limiting beliefs, it'll be tough to attract success. You have to believe you can become the kind of person that attracts success in. You have to believe you're capable of achieving big things. Because if you don't believe it, now, don't get me wrong, belief alone isn't enough. But belief is the initial point. It's the foundation. Everything begins with belief. You have to think your life can be different, that your future can be brighter than your past. I'm sure you've heard the quote, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And it's true. Your mindset shapes your reality. If you believe you're stuck, you'll stay stuck. But if you feel you can grow, you will grow. That's why becoming the kind of person that attracts success begins with altering your mentality. So how can you do that? You feed your mind with the appropriate stuff. You have to be intentional about what you let in, because your mind is like a sponge. It absorbs everything around it. If you're surrounded by negativity, fear, and pessimism, that's what your thoughts will mirror. But if you fill your life with good energy, read books that uplift you, and spend time with people who encourage you to be better, your perspective will start to transform. It has to. You'll begin thinking differently. And once you think differently, you'll behave differently. And when your actions change, so do your outcomes. Relationships are a huge aspect of the jigsaw. The people you spend time with have a big impact on who you become. If you're surrounded by individuals who are negative, who lack desire, and who settle for mediocrity, it'll be hard for you to rise above that. You've got to connect with individuals who raise you up, who encourage you, who challenge you to improve. People who are on their own road of self-improvement. There's a saying, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. And it's true. You become like the individuals you spend the most time with. If you want to attract success, take a look at your circle. Who are you spending your time with? I'm not recommending you take everyone out of your life, but I do believe you need to be intentional about who you allow to impact you. Surround yourself with people who have high standards, people who are moving forward, and people who believe in your potential. These are the ones who will push you to grow. And when you grow, you attract better opportunities. When I started focused on my personal progress, I observed something unusual. The people around me began to change, but not because they were changing. It was because I was changing. Some of the friends I used to hang out with weren't interested in what I was doing anymore. They didn't want to read the literature I was reading, talk about personal development, or discuss achievement. That's when I discovered something important. Not everyone will accompany you on your quest to success. Some folks will stay trapped, and that's okay. But if you want to go on, you have to be willing to let go of relationships that hold you back. Every connection is either pulling you up or dragging you down. There's no medium ground. So ask yourself, are the people in your life driving you toward your objectives, or are they dragging you away? Be honest with yourself. If you're serious about being someone who draws success, your relationships need to align with your aspirations. I realize it's not always easy, sometimes it's painful. But success takes sacrifice. You can't hold on to everything and hope to go forward. When I started spending time with my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, he introduced me to a whole new set of people. People who were succeeding, people who were successful. And let me tell you, that event altered everything. I watched how these folks thought, how they acted, and how they carried themselves. They were disciplined, focused, generous, and optimistic. They believed in abundance, not scarcity. And that style of thinking rubbed off on me. I started to think differently, dream bigger, and act with more meaning. Why? Because I was surrounded by people who were already living the kind of life I desired to. So ask yourself, who are you learning from? Who are you patterning your life after? If you want to attract success, you need role models who have already attained what you're working for. Success leaves clues. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Find individuals who have previously achieved what you aspire to do and learn from them. Study their behaviors, their thinking, and their routines. Success is predictable when you follow the appropriate patterns. That's what I did with Mr. Schoaf. I followed his lead and listened to his suggestions. It changed the entire path of my life. Let's talk about value. If you want to attract success, you must become a person of value. Success doesn't gravitate toward people who are only taking up space. It's drawn to those who bring worth to the world. Here's the key: the more value you provide, the more success you will attract. But what does it mean to add value? It's about solving issues, helping people, and offering more than you take. Successful people are problem solvers. They look for methods to better their surroundings, proposing solutions instead of complaints. They perceive possibilities where others see just problems. So ask yourself, how can I add more value? How can I solve bigger problems? How can I give more to my career, business, or community? When you become a person of value, people will seek you out and opportunities will come knocking. Why? Because the world rewards those who give more than they take. Remember this: the amount of your success is directly proportional to the scale of the difficulties you solve. Solve minor issues and you'll attain small success. Solve large issues and big success will follow. But here's something more to consider. Becoming a person of value isn't just about overcoming external problems. It's also about cultivating your inner self, your character, integrity, and ethics. Those that draw permanent success live by a strong code of values. They don't cut corners, they don't cheat, and they don't deceive. They operate with integrity. Why? Because trust is the foundation of all success. If people can't trust you, you won't get far. You might get some short-term profits, but that won't last. True enduring success is built on trust, so be someone others can rely on. Here's what Mr. Schoaf told me. Billy, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. That means if you cut corners in one element of your life, it will flow over into another. If you're dishonest in one area, that dishonesty will expand to other sections of your life. You can't compartmentalize your character. So, if you want to attract success, start by focusing on the simple things. Are you maintaining your promises? Are you following through on your commitments? Are you doing your best even when no one is watching? It's in those small, daily decisions where your character is developed, is what eventually attracts or repels success. Now, let's talk about one of the most fundamental attributes that attract success: discipline. Without discipline, you won't get far. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. Success is about more than just initial thrill. It's about persisting when that excitement fades. It's about adhering to your strategy and being focused even when distractions emerge. And believe me, distractions will always be there. There will always be things attempting to drag you off track, but it's discipline that keeps you on path. Discipline is what separates the victors distinct from the losers, the successful from the unsuccessful. Most people give up when the going gets difficult, but those that attract success, they endure. They have the discipline to keep going, even when they don't feel like it. They recognize that success isn't about emotions, it's about ideals. It's about doing the right thing every single day, whether you feel like it or not. Now, discipline doesn't come naturally for most individuals. It certainly didn't for me. But here's the good news. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you utilize it, the stronger it becomes. You can build your discipline much like you improve your physical power at the gym. It starts with little decisions. Maybe you wake up 30 minutes earlier than normal. Maybe you stick to your workout schedule even when your bed is calling your name. Maybe you push through to accomplish that work project even when you're fatigued. Each time you make a disciplined choice, you're building that discipline muscle. Over time, it gets easier. But here's something crucial to keep in mind. Discipline is about self-respect. When you push yourself to do what you know needs to be done, you're honoring yourself. You're saying, my goals are worth the effort. And when you respect yourself, people will respect you as well. That's another way to attracting success. People are naturally drawn to those who have high standards and respect for themselves. So, if you want to attract success, improve your standards and don't settle for mediocrity. Here's another crucial concept to become the person who attracts success: patience. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, not a single event. Too many people get disappointed because they expect immediate results, but the reality is success takes time. It's like planting a tree. You don't put a seed today and expect it to grow overnight. You water it, nourish it, and give it time to flourish. The same is true for your success. You have to be patient and willing to put in the work, trusting the process. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It is continuing to work, to grow, to take action, even when you don't see instant results. It means realizing that every small step you take is moving you closer to your objective, even if the progress feels slow. Too many people give up too quickly because they're not patient enough to let their efforts pay off. Success is not just about seeing the rewards of your labor instantly. True success belongs to those who are ready to wait, those who remain steadfast, and those who refuse to quit. Patience, my friends, is a rare virtue in today's fast-paced society. We live in an age of instant gratification, instant communication, instant access to knowledge. But here's the reality: genuine success, the type that endures, isn't fast. It's gradual. It's built one step at a time, brick by brick. And the only way to experience this achievement is by being patient with the process. There's an ancient saying, haste makes waste. When we rush through things, we miss out on the lessons, the growth, and eventually, the success that comes with tenacity. But while patience is vital, it doesn't mean sitting idly by waiting for something to happen. Patience is about realizing that as you work, the results will follow in due time. It's about confidence that your consistent efforts will add up. That's the power of compounding. Small actions, repeated over time, lead to tremendous results. Think about sowing a seed. If you water it every day over time, it will grow into a powerful tree. The same idea applies to your success. Every tiny effort, every focused activity, every incremental development contributes to something greater. That's why patience, along with consistency, is the key to sustainable success. Now let's talk about persistence. If patience is the ability to wait, persistence is the desire to keep going no matter what. You won't attract success without persistence. Life will test you. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments when you doubt whether it's worth it. But trust me, persistence always pays off. The key difference between those who succeed and those who don't is typically one thing: tenacity. Successful people may not be the smartest or the most gifted, but they are generally the most persistent. They refuse to quit up no matter how hard it gets. So, I'll question you. Are you willing to fail on your road to success? Are you willing to keep going forward even when things don't go according to plan? If you're not willing to persist, success will always evade you. You have to be resilient. You have to have grit. You have to be prepared to rise every time you fall. Success doesn't go to the person who never fails. It belongs to the one who refuses to stay down. When life knocks you down, and it will, get back up, dust yourself off, and keep pressing forward. Success isn't simply about hard effort, it's about smart work. Persistence isn't simply about effort, it's about strategy. Without a strategy, persistence is like running on a treadmill. You're putting in the effort, but going nowhere. To actually be persistent, you need purpose. You must have a clear plan and direction, and then modify that course when necessary. Sometimes if things aren't working, it's not about trying harder. It's about changing your attitude. Persistence doesn't mean repeating the same acts and expecting different outcomes. It's about adhering to your aim while keeping adaptable in your methods. One of the important features of successful people is their adaptability. They're not trapped into one viewpoint. They modify their techniques when needed. They are open to fresh ideas, new ways, and alternative answers, realizing that the world is continually moving. What worked yesterday may not work tomorrow, and to stay ahead, you must develop too. Embracing change, gaining new skills, and grabbing new opportunities are vital. The more adaptive you are, the more success you'll attract. When I first started in business, I had a vision of how everything would unfold. I believed that if I worked hard enough, things would ultimately fall into place. But life didn't always cooperate. There were times when my strategies failed and my business didn't expand as I'd intended. I had two choices. I either steadfastly keep to my plan, or I could adjust. Fortunately, I picked the latter. I began to study other marketing approaches, new ways to engage with people, and smarter methods of managing time and money. That's when things began to shift. Success didn't come in the way I had expected, but it occurred because I was open to learning, changing, and adapting. So ask yourself, are you flexible enough to adjust when things don't go as to plan? Are you ready to modify your strategy when the old one doesn't work? Life rarely follows a straight path. There will always be unanticipated hurdles, unforeseen problems, and surprises along the path. But the ones that attract success are the ones who know how to pivot. They don't allow problems keep them back. They discover inventive solutions. They don't stick to outmoded tactics. They embrace new strategies. They keep focused on their ultimate goal, but they stay flexible in how they get there. Now, here's one of the most critical keys to success: maintaining a positive outlook. If you wish to attract success, your attitude must remain optimistic. I'm not talking about naive optimism or naive hope, but a healthy, confident view that keeps you moving forward. I'm talking about a mindset that discovers possibilities where others see hurdles. I'm talking about an attitude that refuses to be discouraged, no matter how terrible things become. You see, a good attitude is like a magnet for achievement. When you retain a positive mindset, you attract positive people, wonderful opportunities, and favorable outcomes. But when you're negative, you repel all of those things. You can't attract success with a negative mindset. It's like attempting to grow flowers in a garden full of weeds. A cheerful attitude doesn't imply you ignore reality. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect when it's not. What it does mean is that you choose to focus on solutions rather than issues. It means you hunt for lessons in every challenge. It indicates you hold on to hope even when things feel hopeless. And let me tell you, that's a strong place to be. When you stay positive in the face of hardship, you cultivate something even more valuable than success. You develop character. And character, my friends, is what ultimately preserves success. Because success without character is hollow, but success built on a foundation of strong character, that's the type of success that lasts. So, how can you cultivate a positive attitude? You begin by regulating what you focus on. If you focus on the bad, on what's wrong, on what you lack, you'll feel negative. But if you focus on the good, on what's right, on what you have, you'll feel positive. It's that simple. What you focus on expands. So start teaching your mind to focus on the good. Start looking for the silver lining in every scenario. Start appreciation, because appreciation is the entryway to a positive attitude. When you're grateful for what you have, you open the door for even more good things to come into your life. But if you're continually moaning and focusing on what you don't have, you close that door. Gratitude and positivity are magnets for success. Here's a small exercise every day. Take a few minutes to jot down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be large things, just 3 things you like about your life. It might be your health, your family, your work, or the chances you have. And here's what will happen over time. As you educate your mind to focus on the positive, you'll start to see more and more things to be grateful for. And the more appreciative you are, the more success you will attract. Why? Because a grateful heart is a magnet for wonders, provides positive energy that invites more good things into your life. Now, this is a vital component of becoming the person who draws success: personal accountability. If you want to attract success, you must take 100% responsibility for your life. No excuses, no blaming others, no playing the victim. Successful people take full ownership of their situations. They learn that while they can't control everything that happens to them, they can control how they respond, and that's the key. How you respond to life's obstacles is what defines your success. Too many individuals go through life blaming their circumstances, their upbringing, the economy, their boss, their spouse, anyone or anything but themselves. But here's the truth. As long as you blame something outside of yourself, you're giving away your authority. When you take responsibility, you take back your power. You know that while you can't undo the past, you can shape your future. That's the mindset of someone who draws success. They don't wait for conditions to change, they transform themselves. They don't wait for someone else to improve things, they make things better. Taking responsibility is the foundation of becoming the person who attracts success. The moment you stop blaming external forces and accept accountability of your decisions, your attitude and your actions is the moment you unlock your entire potential. It's the moment you stop waiting for life to get easier or for the perfect opportunity to fall into your lap and begin creating the circumstances that lead to success. Because, my friends, life doesn't react to wishful thinking. Life responds to action, to determination, to personal accountability. Now, let me be clear, this isn't about beating yourself up when things go wrong. It's about owning the outcome, learning from it, and going forward. If you fail, and you will fail sometimes, don't hunt for someone or something to blame. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What could I have done differently? How can I improve next time? That's what personal accountability looks like. It's about recognizing every setback as a lesson and using those lessons to grow stronger, smarter, and more equipped for the next challenge. When I began my adventure, I made plenty of blunders. But I understood early on that if I wanted to progress, I couldn't afford to pass the responsibility. I recall battling with my early business initiatives, and it was so simple to cast fingers at everything: the market, the economy, even the individuals I was working with. But suddenly, I had a moment of clarity. I recognized that if I was going to make progress, I had to own my results, good or poor. And the moment I took responsibility, everything changed. I stopped waiting for circumstances to improve and started improving myself. That difference in thinking was everything. Here's the truth. Personal accountability leads to personal empowerment. The more responsibility you take for your life, the more power you have to improve it. And that's where success starts to attract itself. When you're in control of your life, your actions, and your destiny, there's no power in blame, but there is great power in accountability. So let me ask you again, how much responsibility are you ready to assume for your success? That's what will determine how far you'll go. But here's something important: taking responsibility doesn't mean doing everything on your own. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that success implies doing it all by themselves. That's simply not true. You need others, you need mentors, you need a team, you need a support system. Taking responsibility implies you are in control of discovering the proper people, developing meaningful relationships, and putting yourself in the correct circumstances. You must actively seek such contacts that will help you flourish. You must take responsibility for surrounding oneself with favorable influences. This brings me to another essential point. If you want to attract success, you must be cautious about the people you accept into your life. We've already covered the value of connections, but I want to highlight this again. Be intentional about who you associate with. Show me the individuals you spend the most time with, and I'll show you your future. If you're surrounding yourself with negative, small-minded, or poisonous people, attracting success will be extremely impossible. But if you surround yourself with positive, ambitious, forward-thinking individuals, people who are aiming for success themselves, you'll automatically begin to rise to their level. There's an old saying I love. It implies when you spend time with people who are sharp, focused, and driven, they make you sharper. They encourage you to think bigger, to increase your standards, and to elevate your game. That's why it's vital to be careful of your circle. Success is not a solitary path. It's a journey where you need to be surrounded by people who inspire, challenge, and hold you accountable to your potential. Now, here's another crucial principle when it comes to attracting success: contribution. It can sound counterintuitive, but if you want to attract success, you need to focus on giving, not just receiving. Success isn't about what you can take from the world, it's about what you can offer. The more you contribute, the more value you add to others, the more success you'll attract. That's how life works. You've probably heard the saying, you reap what you sow. It's a timeless principle. If you sow generosity, kindness, and worth, you will reap success, plenty, and fulfillment. The people that attract the most success are those who are continuously asking themselves, how can I help? How can I make a difference? They aren't focused on what they can gain. Instead, they concentrate on what they can give. In contributing, they create an environment where success flows toward them organically. Take a moment to consider the most successful businesses in the world. What do they all have in common? They address issues, give value, and meet needs. Its aim is on giving the finest possible service or product to its clients. Because of this giving approach, they attract amazing success. The same logic applies to your life. If you want to attract success, focus on how you can add value to others. When you do that, you'll find that success begins to come after you. You could be asking, how do I start contributing more? How do I add value to others? It doesn't have to be something great or dramatic. It starts with simple acts of kindness, showing up completely in your work, and being a positive impact on others around you. It's about seeking for opportunities to serve in any way you can. Here's the thing: the more you give, the more you grow. Each time you contribute to someone else's life, you grow in wisdom, experience, and character. That's what attracts success. When you become a person of value, success is drawn to you like a magnet. Let me share a little secret with you. One of life's greatest delights is being of service to others. There's something deeply rewarding about knowing you've made a great impact on someone's life, helped them move closer to their goals, or overcome a hurdle. That's what gives life significance. When your life is filled with meaning and purpose, success becomes a natural byproduct. You won't need to chase it. It will come to you because you're living a life of giving. So, becoming the person that draws success isn't about pursuing something outside of yourself. It's about creating the skills, habits, and mentality that naturally bring success into your life. It's about accepting responsibility, keeping persistent, maintaining a positive mindset, and consistently adding value. When you focus on being that kind of person, success will follow. You won't have to chase it, it will find you.